Species 4, The Awakening. We are introduced to the lead, Miranda Hollander, who is a respected college professor. She takes a class where she explains Zeus punishing man with the curse of women, while her male students gaze in amazement. Class is dismissed, and then she goes to meet her uncle, Tom Hollander, who's studying different fossils. Miranda reveals that Oxford has called her for a new job, but she doesn't want to leave for England, as Tom is the only family she has left. At night, she gets ready for a date, but before she leaves, Tom suggests going to England as she is too talented for this little town. He offers to move in with her as well, and they share a hug, after which Miranda leaves for her date. However, the next morning, a jogger finds her in a compromised state by the park. Tom gets ready for college and calls out to Miranda, but realizes that she isn't there. We see her being rushed into a hospital as she tries to recollect what happened last night, and then we learn that Miranda is an alien who had killed her date after things got a little intense. Tom is alerted about this, so he rushes to the scene as quickly as he can. However, Miranda's x-rays don't appear to be normal, so a doctor named Edward goes to examine her again. Unfortunately, Miranda is triggered by the radiation and transforms into an alien predator, after which she kills Edward and his colleague. Tom finally reaches the hospital, but witnesses all the bloodshed, so he runs towards Miranda and injects her with a dose of human hormones that suppresses her alien genes. Realizing that they will eventually get caught, Tom takes the alien girl away to Mexico with some fake IDs that he has already kept ready at home. Miranda comes back to her senses, but doesn't seem to know what's going on, so she asks Tom for answers. However, he says that she's sick and he can't help her in this current condition. Miranda simply gets confused and continues to ask questions, so Tom reveals that he's going to take her to his ex-student, Forbes McGuire, whom he believes to be her best shot at survival. Miranda isn't convinced and presses for the truth, so Tom finally explains that he and Forbes had created her in a lab, as part of an experiment after they managed to come across some alien DNA from outer space. However, Tom got scared after seeing the results of some of their other experiments, so he abandoned his working relationship with Forbes and took Miranda away so that he can raise her as normally as he could. Miranda refuses to believe him, but Tom confronts her with the truth by stating that all her memories are fake, including those of her parents. This is too much for the alien girl to take, and it causes her to break down into tears. Now the duo finally reaches Mexico, but Miranda suddenly starts to experience her symptoms again. She begins to transform into an alien, so Tom injects her with more human hormones and states that her condition has grown worse ever since she fell sick. As they continue their journey, Tom explains to Miranda that she has the power to absorb infinite amounts of knowledge simply by touching a book. He even proves it to her by making her touch an auto manual and asking her questions about it. The uncle and niece check into a shady hotel where Tom asks for Forbes, but he doesn't get any leads. Regardless, he continues with his search the next day, but an evil nun named Azura seems to be following him around. After some time, Tom bumps into her, and she reveals that she is also an alien monster, so he tries to get away from her. However, she uses her powers to chase after him, and eventually catches her prey with her alien tongue. Things look bad for Tom, but luckily the cops arrive to the scene, so Azura has to revert back to her human form so that she can avoid any suspicion. As Tom tries to make his way back to the hotel, he bumps into a man named Leland Fisk, who offers a way to find Forbes. Tom doubts him at first, but eventually listens to his advice as he suggests submitting an envelope to a random taxi driver in a shady alley. Tom does exactly as Fisk says, but this turns out to be a trap as his driver is also an alien. The beast attacks Tom and a chase scene follows, after which Tom hides in a garage. Tensions rise as the monster looks for his prey, but then Tom manages to trick the creature and sets him on fire after striking him with the cab. Tom is very upset now, so he confronts Fisk at the hotel, but the villain threatens him with a gun. Luckily, Miranda arrives to the scene and uses her alien strength to beat the information out of Fisk. Now, Tom and Miranda make their way to the alleged location where Forbes is supposed to be living. Fisk turns out to be right, but the duo finds Forbes in a compromised situation with Azura. Forbes flirts with Miranda as he is amazed by her current beauty, but Tom calls him out because his girlfriend had tried to kill him the previous day. Forbes offers his apologies, and then the alien girls get into a staring competition with each other. However, Miranda faints due to her illness, so she has to be immediately rushed to the surgery room. As he conducts a detailed analysis, Forbes reveals to Tom that he's been making multiple human and alien hybrids as part of a side business. Then he surprisingly states that Miranda is sick because she has become old and is nearing the end of her lifespan. Tom tries to ask him for some help, but Forbes doesn't seem to care about any of his creations and simply treats them like his toys. Azura listens in on this conversation and grows suspicious of Forbes. Now, Tom has an emotional chat with Miranda and apologizes for not telling her the truth earlier. She forgives her uncle and decides to go back home so that she can surrender to police, as she needs to take responsibility for the people she killed in the hospital. They hug inside a church, but then Forbes shows up and reveals that there's a way to extend Miranda's life. However, it involves taking someone else's life, so Miranda is completely against it as she does not wish to be responsible for yet another murder. Later in the hotel, Miranda urges Tom to go back to his true scientific work, but he doesn't wish to pursue the same field, and says that he wants to resume studying fossils at the museum. They have a brief argument, but Miranda suddenly collapses, so Tom calls up Forbes and takes her into his surgery table. The mad scientist sedates the alien girl in order to prevent a transformation, and then he tells Tom to get his hands dirty if he wants to save Miranda. He hesitates at first, but eventually agrees to bring a female specimen. Tom goes to the red light district in the area and searches for prospective victims. Here, he meets a woman of the night called Colette and tries to bring her home. However, she turns it around on him and threatens him with a gun. That's when Azura shows up and knocks her down. Colette is brought over to the lab and Forbes begins the harvesting process almost immediately. We witness a detailed procedure, but something goes wrong as the stem cells harvest all over Miranda's body. After a suspenseful sequence, Miranda seems to have survived, but is extremely hostile. Tom manages to calm her down, and then she finally submits. Miranda wakes up later to both Tom and Forbes by her side, but she seems to have undergone a drastic change in her personality. Miranda starts flirting with Azura and seems to have forgotten everything she had said earlier as well. Then she tries to seduce Tom, but he refuses her and stands in shock as he tries to understand what's gone wrong. He confronts Forbes about this, and he realizes that Miranda still hasn't stabilized her cells. However, Forbes is interrupted when he has to sell an alien dog to a client, so he tends to the matter. Now, Tom looks for Miranda but isn't able to locate his niece. Forbes gives him some weapons and suggests killing her, but Tom is completely against the idea and he rushes to find his creation. Meanwhile, Miranda meets another alien man and seduces him at first, but kills her prey afterward. Now, Tom looks for Miranda in church and finds a priest, but the Holy Father is killed by Azura, who goes on to attack Tom as well. She believes that everything has gone wrong ever since Tom had arrived with Miranda, and a tense sequence follows. Luckily, Tom manages to kill Azura by trapping her under a cross. Then we see Miranda stealing a woman's dress and killing a man in a club after seducing him. Forbes goes looking for the alien girl and follows a clue to an alley where he is confronted by her. She begins to seduce him, and Forbes tries to play along so that he can attack her with a syringe. However, Miranda spots his intentions and holds him hostage until she impregnates herself. Once she gets his seed, Miranda kills Forbes with a kiss of death. Meanwhile, Azura comes back to life and goes looking for her victims. Now, Tom finds Forbes dead in the alley and locates Miranda, but spots that she is pregnant with an alien child. He quickly takes her to the lab and observes the baby, but then Miranda wakes up and is seemingly back to her human side. She pleads with Tom to kill her as the alien side might take over again, but then the lights go off. Tom equips himself with a shotgun and checks it out, but is attacked by Azura, who is in her alien form. She snatches the gun away from Tom and throws her victim around, but Miranda comes to the rescue just before Azura delivers the final blow. The alien girls engage in a fierce duel, and exchange blows one after the other. Miranda seems to gain the upper hand, but Azura launches a sneak attack, seemingly killing her in the process. Luckily, Tom reloads his shotgun and kills Azura after that. He shares a final heartfelt moment with Miranda, who thanks him for giving her life. Tom doesn't want anyone else to gain access to the lab, so he sets it on fire and causes an explosion, after which he walks away. And that's the end of the movie. Please like, share, and subscribe if you want more recaps, and hit that bell button for regular updates. Okay then, I'll see you in the next one.